Alright, so if you watch Mr. Pete, his videos, or otherwise known as Tool Cane, he just tried the vinegar method of rust material removal on something. And he said that basically after trying that, he'll never bother with electrolysis again. I've used, what's it called, Evaporust, quite a bit in conjunction with electrolysis. You know, if you saw my lathe restoration, I used both processes with that. You know, people who say, no, I use vinegar instead of the Evaporust, say the Evaporust costs 15 bucks a gallon, which it does, and this costs like $3 a gallon. Well, I'm gonna give it a try. I'll tell you, one thing I noticed when Mr. Pete did his video was that this left a mess that you would not want to use again. You basically poured the vinegar out when you were done with one job. Whereas the Evaporust, I can tell you, you know, you can use it quite a bit. So the 1 gallon stretches. And you know it's kind of lost its power when it actually turns black. But anyway, I thought I'd give this a try. You know, Mr. Pete was saying how with the piece that he was doing, it was kind of a silly exercise because it was a flat surface, you know, that 5 minutes with some sandpaper and he could have just had the job done. This is something that, you know, you can see if I'm ever going to recover usefulness from that spring again. This was something that was left in our garden, by the way, accidentally. I won't say who left it there, but it wasn't me. Anyway, so this is the kind of thing where, yeah, you do want some kind of chemical process that's actually going to get in there and destroy the rust where you can't reach. So something like an old tool is a perfect candidate for something chemical, I'm going to say. Alright, so here we go. This is an old thing of vinegar bought for some purpose that never got realized. It's been kicking around, doing nothing. And I'm going to pour some in here. Ooh, what a smell. And we're going to check back later. Now with the Evaporust, one thing it says is you're not supposed to cover it and cut off the oxygen because it uses the oxygen as part of the process. So I'll put something loose over it. I don't know whether the same thing applies to vinegar, but I will go ahead and find some sort of something that will keep it from evaporating too quickly but won't cut the oxygen supply off. And I'll come back to it later. So it's been almost exactly 3 hours, and I'm about to go to bed, so I thought I'd take a peek at it. Is there anything's going on down here? A few bubbles have formed. Don't really see a whole lot coming off so far. You grab something to flip it over. I want to stick my fingers in the vinegar. That's the real problem area down in there. Yeah, I don't see a lot going on yet. I think Mr. Pete came back after like 2 days. I will say that if this was Evaporust, you'd have seen a lot of I mean, it'd probably be just about done. But I think there'll be a side-by-side test in the future. I have a couple of old horseshoes that I can, they're nearly identical and they're nearly identically rusty, so I think I might invest in another $15 a gallon of Evaporust and do a side-by-side. But we'll let this this batch get a chance, and then I have another victim over here. So, alright, time for the big reveal after nearly 24 hours. And, alright. Some evidence of some stuff coming up here. Let's see what we got going on. I don't know. Not looking great. I mean, it's doing something, but not nearly as well as the Evaporust would have. Alright, I don't have a shop sink like Mr. Pete does, so this is going to have to go to the kitchen sink. Good thing the wife's not here. Yeah, the stuff that I'm really worried about down here, it's not really getting to very much. So, I mean, I'll use a, hang on, I got a better wire brush here somewhere. This shot. Yeah, it's going a little better. So there's still some elbow grease involved, but not to the extent that you think without the vinegar treatment. I mean, the nice thing about these different processes is you're not creating a whole bunch of dust. And it seems like everything I do in the shop, I'm creating a bunch of dust, and I'm wearing a face mask or wishing I was. And so that's definitely a redeeming quality of these chemical processes. Yeah, so it's not looking too bad. Oh yeah, look at that. Nice gray metal there. Alright, I just needed something a little bit more aggressive than a toothbrush to go at it. It's not looking bad. Still though, to get down in here, oh yeah, look at that. That's darn clean looking. Yeah. See if the light will catch that well enough for you to see it. Or I'll find a flashlight. It's way over there, of course. Alright, so down there where the little spring is, yeah, that was all incredibly rusty. So it took that off. That's good news. Yeah. Still going to be some stuff hidden up in there I can't get to. But, yeah, I think it was a worthwhile thing. A penny's worth of vinegar sitting overnight. I'll go rinse it off in the household sink and bring it back. Do a little bit more scrubbing underwater too, probably. Alright, well that's as far as I'm taking this thing. I'm going to oil it up from here and just hand it back to she who must not be named. If it were a shop tool, I'd go the extra mile. I'd take it apart, try to get all, try to completely clean it out. But chances are this is going to get left out again, and I would cry if I did like a total restoration on it. So I'll oil it up, put some grease on here, put the plastic handle cover back on here, and that'll go back in service. But it's, the vinegar, if you had nothing else, I mean, that's not bad. Evaporust does better, bottom line. It just does. I would trust, particularly for something that I'm actually not able to get in there like this, I would trust the effects of the Evaporust better. Now I am going to go ahead and use my little tray of vinegar for some more things. Starting with this guy. You got a little moisture on him. So it's got a little flash rust, so go ahead and toss him in there. And I've got some great big old hex keys that came in a toolbox I bought that I'll end up throwing in there. I'll show you those later. First, what is in this box? So I wanted to point out that after just a couple hours, there's a lot more foaming going on with this C-clamp than there was with the little garden tool that I threw in here earlier. I think it's just the exposed mild steel rather than all that chrome that was on the other tool made the action less evident than it is here. Alright, so this is 24 hours after being in for these guys. So I am going to take these to the sink. And I don't know, should I just take this whole thing and flush it? Because I think I've used it about as much as I'm going to use it for right now. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Alright, this whole thing is going to be in the kitchen sink next time you see it. Alright, there you go. There's the over-the-shoulder view. I even decided to try doing this guy even though he's a wreck. These guys I think are going to come out just fine. One thing I would say, if you're going to do this, wear gloves. Because this stuff really is a pain to get off your skin once you get it on them. Good enough for the toolbox. And this is a KCM. Can you read that? So these are going to finish up pretty nicely. Alright, I won't bore you with the whole cleaning job. I'll show you the finished product here in a second. Alright, so I'll see if I can grab a still of the before to throw in here. But that's the after. I spritzed everything down with WD-40. This I only did is just, I don't know, for giggles. I could tell it was rusted too far to be worth anything. Like I said, it'll become an anode if I ever do electrolysis again, or if I decide to do some welding art, then maybe it'll come into play. Who knows? But you know, this old clamp came out very well. These guys came out much better than I anticipated. They actually, you can read them. These are Martins, I believe. Yes, Martin USA. Focus. Is that in focus? Yeah. That isn't bad. I thought those were garbage. They appear to be okay. The keys are all great. The only problem is I only have 3 sizes. These 3 are all duplicates of the middle one here. So that's kind of a shame, but those are 3 big honking hex keys I didn't have before. And 3 extras. Anybody need a... I don't have my calipers on me right this second, so... 5/8? I'm guessing. So that's that. Now I had intended to do a side-by-side of the Vinegar versus the Evaporust. Oh, by the way, these guys. Yeah, these guys are working again. I still think that maybe the Evaporust would be better for something like this, where there's stuff down inside here that I'm, worried about coming back. But like I said, as a garden tool, I'm not going to disassemble this thing. So it's good enough. But for this mild steel, I honestly think that although it takes a little longer, the Vinegar did just as good a job as the Evaporust. Probably. Maybe I will do a side-by-side someday, but I don't have a hankering to go out and spend 15 bucks on a gallon of Evaporust right now. I've still got a whole lot of Vinegar left. So, yeah, pretty good. I'm a fan of Evaporust, but the Vinegar does a pretty darn good job.